Wait, are you are you gonna count me in? Whatever. I'm just gonna go for it. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and as a child of the 80s, I'd love to say queens rule, but they don't. Queens lead. Being a queen means you are worthy to be a leader of people. The guests on our show do exactly that. They are leading the way in their businesses, families, and communities. And they're taking their rightful place in the spotlight, leading and inspiring the developing queens in all of us. Welcome to the Queen's Lead podcast.
Now here's your host, Amy Singleton, the queen of realness, leading conversations about business, life, and the real shit you want to know.
Perfect.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Queen's Lead podcast. I'm your host, Amy Singleton, and the last few guests have told me they were very disappointed that I was not wearing an actual crown when they hopped on this Zoom call. So for those of you just listening and not watching on YouTube, I do have a real live Queen's Lead crown now. So as the guests say something very queenly or leaderly, I will be placing that on my head along with our normal mic drop moments. So today we are very excited to be well into season 2 with Kaitlin Gonzalez. This lady has been all over social media in my circles, and everyone's all abuzz talking about her. So I can't wait to hear your story. I don't know much about it yet. I just know it's impactful and amazing. So welcome, Kaitlin.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be on the show. Thank you
Kaitlin
for
does
having me.
something. Absolutely. We are so happy to have you here because you do something that most business owners are like, not for me, don't want to do it, don't put me on camera. She makes reels, guys. Real deal, the real deal small business videography. She comes to your business and takes reels for you and takes that off your plate. Tell us about yourself, Kaitlin, and how you got started into real deal videography.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I actually got my degree in psychology, but I actually have fallen in love with marketing so much. But what I love to do is, I'm sorry, what was the question again? A little bit about,
And
can
how
you
you
ask
got
me a question?
started.
How I got
Yeah.
started. Okay.
Yeah. Just tell us about you first. Tell us about Kaitlin. What are you all
Okay.
about?
Okay, so yeah, I graduated in 2018 with my psychology degree, and I have a husband of 3 years and a 2-year-old daughter, and we live out here in Choctaw, and we really love it. And I really have just always had an entrepreneurial spirit, so that's just a little bit about me.
Awesome. And what were you doing? So you're just been going to school this whole time. Have you been out like in corporate America or had other like jobs outside of owning your own business before now?
Well, I graduated in 2018, and then from there, I was just actually looking for jobs that just wanted a degree. So, worked at AAA, and then right after that, that is when I started going into like the more like owning your own business stuff. It kind of started with like solar, and then I'm like, well, that's not totally for me, but I like marketing and sharing about businesses with people. But I've always had a knack for video editing. I had no idea that that was something that other people did not like to do. I had no idea.
They hate it. I hate
Yeah. I
it.
was like, wow, this is like a gift that I can make something out of. So that is kind
100%.
of like what brought me here a little bit today. So,
What was your
yeah.
intention? No, where did you go to school and where'd you get your psychology degree from?
Well, I went to Randall University in
Oh,
like
really?
more. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, that's where I got it from. And
What was your intention when you started off with psychology? Was it to go into some kind of therapy or to be a therapist, or what was your intention behind that degree? Because it's so fascinating. I also
yeah,
was very interested in psychology when I was in college and was like, didn't pursue it, but like, so I'm wondering what
yeah.
was your intention there?
I loved the classes. That was really fun. Those classes were so cool.
Don't you love
Um,
just diagnosing everyone in your life when you hear about a new thing like, oh, you are definitely experiencing that?
Yeah, I psychoanalyzed a lot of people in my life.
Everyone.
But I also found that I could use psychology in any like job field. You do really use it. I thought I was gonna be like a counselor, but I really had no idea that you would have to go get your master's or further to
Yeah.
get something like that. So I realized that with a bachelor's, you're going to be a case manager, stuff like that. And that is actually what I was about to do on August 7th. That is the job that I was about to start, was finally using my degree, and I couldn't do
Oh,
it.
wow. On
Yeah.
August 7th. But what happened on August 6th?
So 4 days, yeah, I guess it was
August 2nd.
August 3rd. Yeah,
Oh,
2nd and
wow.
3rd. Like, I what happened was someone that we know, Kate, which is a HVAC company, she was coming into the store that I have in Shawnee Mall. That it's been kind of a slower going business because of that place. It's not a very busy place in Shawnee Mall, okay? And, but she has a HVAC company, and we have like a home and garden store. So I was trying to,
Oh.
yeah, so they can like rent spaces on the wall and stuff. And so I was meeting her, trying to tell her about the store. And I just, at that point, I was so burnt out. I could not put the front on anymore. And something about her energy allowed me to be vulnerable with her. And I was just like, girl, I can't, you don't even have to come. I just want to be your friend. Like, let's be friends. And something about our conversation that day was just like, if you burn out here, like, what, and it just kind of led to this. And then I thought I would need to work directly with a social media manager person. I was like, I'm going to have to go hand in hand, like be subcontracted out. But then I realized that it could be a standalone business. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so it was 4 days before I was supposed to start that job. And I had someone that was like, let's go downtown Shawnee. Let's, build up your portfolio. Let's do all these things. And then Sunday morning, she texted me and she was like, that was so much fun yesterday. I want to be your first client. And
Wow.
yeah. And then even a couple weeks later, I was like, Kayla, did you really enjoy that experience, or did you just not want me to give up so easily, or like what was it? And she was like, I could have told you on Monday. I told you on Sunday for a reason, but I really did enjoy it. So I was like, well, I got my first client. I can't show up Monday morning now. So that's kind of how that went.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so great. Kudos to you and to Kate. I know Kate Preto, I think you're talking about. Hi,
Yeah.
Kate. With Familia, the nice
Yeah.
little shout out to our friend there here in town. Um, Shout out to you, because this is a conversation, and I don't know your age, but I'm assuming it starts with a two. And
Barely.
yeah, barely. But that's something I didn't realize. The two comes at the end of my age. Now I'm 42. So
Mm,
realizing back then that I could turn around, pivot, and then
mhm.
go, pivoting. People like to say pivot a lot, but you have to pivot and then go, right? You have to pivot and go
Yes.
somewhere. And so the decision that you made to pivot and go somewhere else after getting that degree, after spending all that time, after spending all that money, after your
Yeah.
family and your parents and everyone else's expectations have been built around you and what you're going to do with this psychology degree.
Yeah.
Um, was that hard for you? I mean, it sounds
Yeah.
like it was a pretty easy decision, but you may have been mulling over that discomfort for a while.
Yeah. It was definitely like an uncomfortable thing. And I've always heard people talk about like people feel imprisoned to their degree or something like that. And I'm like, well, it is kind of easy to feel that way whenever you do have this giant number that you spent on this piece of paper. That's what it is at the end of the day. But I am so happy that it seems like the world is going more at a experience angle rather than like go get that piece of paper to do what you want to do. It's really, what I've learned is it's all about experience and networking. Like that is the biggest things.
Who do you
Um,
know?
yeah, and that was the first time. That was a big deal during those 4 days because I had gone to a conference back in May in Shawnee, and that's where I connected with a lot of people there. And that was the first time in my life that I felt supported on the front side, left side. Everyone was around me, supporting me completely with no ulterior motives. It was just amazing.
That's queen leadership right there. Those women that swarm you, that say, come
Yes.
on, girl, let's go. And your bravery for
Yes.
going to that kind of thing. I remember walking into my
Yeah.
first networking meeting. People never believe me when I say this. Girl, 3.5 years ago or so, I was in a Zoom BNI meeting. So if anyone that
Mhm.
knows what BNI is, it's a pretty low stress situation once you get to know it. But I would
Yeah.
tremble and shake with my paper in my hand and worry. And the president of the group had to put me at the very beginning of the day because I was so scared to speak. I had no idea
Yeah.
how to take that leap and engage and network with other people. So bravo for
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And it really feels like it's because like the community that we've built specifically in like the OKC women business and other things is just like that it's relationships first and business will follow type thing. So it kind of takes away that pressure of like you better have your 10-second pitch down or nobody's going to talk to you. It's really like relationship building and it's really opened up so many doors.
Yeah,
So
for
many.
sure. So obviously, psychology translates into videography and video editing. And I'm sure you've
Yeah.
experienced already people being terrified to be on camera. Tell us
Mhm.
about tell us about your process and the clients you have so far and kind of what you've been able to do for them.
Yeah, so that is a big thing with clients is like the stress, the not wanting to be on camera. So that's why my concept is, I want to do this once a month for you. So if they do feel the need to prepare, it's one time a month. They're not having to constantly think of what they're going to say in front of a camera. And then the other things that's a part of my process that makes them feel comfortable is number one, I will say my personality helps people like be comfortable and then I don't bring a big camera. I actually capture on my iPhone 14 Pro. And like
Nice.
Apple's making these phones super high tech, it's fine. I have a mic set that goes with it, but that's like as far as techie as I go right now. So I don't bring a big camera and a shot list or scripts. Like I don't bring those things and it really keeps my business owners comfortable because I'm like, all we need to worry about is a hook, a call to action at the end, and really just raw, organic, like behind the scenes content or whatever, however commercially you want it to look. It's just dependent on the business owner. But if they're okay, the gap that I'm trying to fill is what is impossible for them to capture. So, what I have
Mhm.
found in the last 8 weeks is like people that could have the ability to set their phone up on the tripod and talk to it, they're not exactly my customer unless they like my editing style on that. But really where I have found my like full-fledged niche is people are moving and it's literally impossible for them to capture what they're doing. And that's
Yeah.
the gap that I like to fill, and doing that for them.
Yeah, that's so great. So, um, tell us about some of the like the client. Tell us about Kate.
Yeah.
Like, what have you done? What have those reels looked like for them?
So it looks like whenever I worked with Kate, it was in Norman and they were working at an apartment complex and it was like replacing an air handler. And so I was just getting the whole process of it and then putting in the new handler. So it was a lot of like movement. Um, Paula with Discount Moving, I helped her with like the moving
I
company.
love Paula. Hi, Paula.
Yeah.
Fearlessly.
And also, like hairstylists and estheticians love
Oh,
my
okay.
service and cleaning services. They're just like moving and I'm just capturing them. And then I also like to do like educational tidbits. And they can do that too. And I've been like working with some things on how to make those a little bit more engaging too, with like the blurred backgrounds and the captions and things like that. So that's fun.
Yeah.
So I love like ASMR, behind the scenes, organic content, anything like that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So there doesn't have to be a script while you're there necessarily. You can just
Right.
capture all that behind the scenes and then go back and then edit something later. Do you later add on like voiceovers or just, text later on to the reels or
Yeah. Yeah,
what's
so
been your process with that?
typically I don't do a voiceover. I'll do like music and typography on top of the video. So that's why I really like to work with the business owner because the main thing for me is understanding their voice, values, and vision so that we can really capture so that their audience, it looks like it's coming from them. It's what they
Yeah.
would say, it's how they would put it. Um, and so they really like that. And then I just upload these videos to like a drive. And so then they can just download them. They can upload these as reels, stories, videos, TikToks, YouTube shorts, however they want to upload them, and they don't have to worry about the symbols or anything like that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
So,
you're just putting it all in a drive folder for them to go back and later use that whenever and
yeah,
wherever their content schedule meets.
exactly. Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Where was your where did you get the video editing experience?
Well, it has kind of just been developed over the last like 10 or 15 years. There was some situations in my family life that we really need to like share with the public about what was going on. And so that was kind of, I guess, the start of editing experience. And then with the business that my dad, brother, and I started at the beginning of this year with the solar company, it's really the first solar storefront in Oklahoma, and my part in that business was the marketing side. It was
Okay.
pushing it to all these different cities around here. And so that is how I kind of found that that was my niche, because when we would go out and say our business name, people was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you on social media." I'm like, "Yes, it's working."
What is
And
it? So you mentioned that you were in solar a little bit, but I didn't realize this was your family business as well.
yeah, so I started at the first company was just not a good company, and we realized that to be a good company, we have to start our own type of thing.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, ours is called Sublime Solar Home and Garden Solutions. So
Okay.
it's a store in Shawnee Mall, and it's not only solar. We have other companies that come set up like windows, roofing, concrete. So we want it to be like a year-round home and garden show. And then the
Oh, nice.
retail, yeah, the retail is made in Oklahoma, like garden decor products. We have like 15 producers, and then solar gadgets. So that's our retail over there. But
How
that
fun.
is
And that's in
really,
Shawnee
yeah,
Mall.
yeah,
That's so
yep.
great. So you
That's where,
definitely had some experience marketing for them before. Was that while you were still in
yeah.
school?
Well, I graduated a little while ago, but this was recently.
2018 seems like
Yeah,
yesterday to me.
I
Sorry. That
know.
was
No,
literally
it's
like
fine.
last year.
It really is
This was
crazy to
5 years,
me.
lady.
Yeah, can you believe that,
I can't.
can you believe the C word was almost 4 years ago? I can't believe that. Like,
I
that
love that we're
doesn't
going to call
feel
it the C word.
the C word, you know?
That's
I can't
great.
believe that it was. But that is where, like, my knack for marketing, and that really is where I got the, like, marketing experience and confidence of having my own business now, because I was doing the building blocks of that business, like the inventory, contracts, invoicing, and, all of those things. And bumping shoulders with like business owners for the last 8 or 9 months has definitely helped. So,
Yeah, for sure. So tell us about, you said you've always had kind of that entrepreneurial spirit. And I think
yeah.
I did too, but I didn't know it because I didn't really have an example in my life. The only
Mm,
example I had really was my grandfather, and he died when I was very young. So I think it's in my blood and in my genes, but I didn't know. What was it? What was it that in you? Was there an example in your life? Your parents, I sound like business owners.
yeah.
Who else was that driving factor?
I would say my dad did have a big part in it. He is what we call a visionary,
Love
and
it.
this store
They're so
concept.
hard to
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah, we're tough. We got a
yeah.
lot of ideas, huh?
Yes, this store was a visionary idea that would have just stayed in his head. But I am what we call an integrator. So every
Yeah.
day I was like, what are we doing for this business? How are we moving forward? What steps are we taking? So, like, that is, so I kind of learned a little bit from him on like, if you only have a vision and it just stays there, you're just gonna stay there. And so it kind of pushed me, because if you have a visionary too long, you have to have that other person that's going to be like, let's
Right.
actually do it. That's a really good
Move the bus.
idea. Yeah. So that's where I come in. So I kind of learned from that side of it. It's just like being a visionary is really good, and he has really, really great ideas. And I like to think that I'm an idea generator as well. But like, you have to move the needle forward. And so that's kind of how I learned more about that and got confidence with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us what growing up, did you grow up in Choctaw?
No, I actually, so we moved from Missouri to Oklahoma when I was like in the third grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then we really just stayed around the Oklahoma City, Moore, Norman area. I was in Moore. My husband and I lived in Moore, and then we just moved here like a year and a half ago. So yeah, but we really like it out here. We really wanted like an area with just like at least an acre. So that's what we got.
Nice.
Yeah.
What brought your family from Missouri to Oklahoma?
My dad went back to school at Randall University actually.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, it was used to be called Hillsdale. So he
Yep.
went there whenever it was like that. My parents met there. It was just like I felt like that's where I was always gonna go
Aw,
type
that's
of
so
thing.
sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
that's what
So was there anybody else in your family having business ownership other than your dad?
no, and I would say I was the first one to graduate too. I just feel like I I don't know. I have always, and this is what I've been feeling the last 2 or 3 years, was that feeling of I'm made for more. I'm too smart to be this broke type of feeling. Like,
Oh, that's
I
so good. I am
yeah,
too smart to be this broke. I love that
yeah.
line. That is a Caitlinism. Okay, got it.
Like
Love that.
that is how I felt. And I was just like, there has got to be more. So I recognized my talents. I recognized like that, but I didn't know what to do with it. I was very lost. I was very burnt out. Even just 3 or 4 months ago, I just felt like, ah, there's got to be more. And I just feel so thankful, so blessed every day to have found alignment finally, like for the first time in my life.
What was the catalyst? What was I mean, there's lots of people out there that listen to
Mhm,
this podcast that are like, I'm stuck in this 9 to 5, or I just graduated, or I hate my job and I want to do
mhm.
something for myself. I know I'm made for more. How did you find that purpose and direct it towards something that you wanted to achieve?
So I have been working closely with kind of like a mindset coach person. And what we have found together is that basically that 4 days before I was going to start that 8 to 5 consistent thing that was coming, it like for the 8 months previous to that, I was pushing so hard that it was becoming like a desperation thing that I was
Mm,
going towards so fast. And so once I was like, all right, I have something lined up, something's coming, lights at the end of the tunnel, it released that. It released that pressure of desperation or I've got to have that. It released that and allowed the flow of alignment to come in right there. It was like, okay, because it's so interesting that that happened right whenever I had something like consistent on the line, right? So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was just that release of pressure. But that is so hard to do whenever you're in that moment. It is so hard to do, but it brought me here.
Yeah. So mindset coach.
Yeah,
I also have one and worked with several coaches before. If you're feeling stuck, I promise you that you don't have to go and get a degree in psychology to figure out your own brain. You don't have to
right.
go through some huge program or something like that in order to find that alignment. There are people out there, tons of coaches for very specific purposes that can help you move forward, and bravo to you for seeking that out, because I know it's made a
Yeah.
huge impact on my life as well. Having
Yeah.
that outside perspective, paying someone that's been there and done that and knows the way, that can grab your hand and say, let's go. I know I've been there.
Yeah.
I'm coming, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's dig deep. Like this person I work with makes you feel so uncomfortable, but she doesn't just let you sit there. She she comforts you in the uncomfortable. So
I
that is
love
what
it.
happened.
Is her name Kim by any chance?
It's Kayla.
Oh, okay. Kayla,
Yeah. Kayla
Delgado.
Birch.
Oh, Kayla Birch. I don't know Kayla.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Okay.
gotta meet her. She,
I gotta meet her.
yeah, she's really cool. Really, she's all about like the limiting beliefs, subconscious thoughts, and stuff like that. I'm actually capturing
Hmm.
for her retreat this weekend, so in
Oh,
Broken
how
Bow. I'm so
great.
excited. Yeah,
How fun. Oh my
yeah,
gosh. That's
it'll
awesome.
be so fun.
Yeah. I don't know what I was going to say about that, but um, anyway, yeah,
Yeah,
coaches have
yeah,
helped me tremendously in trying to figure out my path and my way. Um, so,
yeah.
so what's next for you? What's on the horizon? What are you seeking?
So what I'm seeking is like what I'm picturing is having like 6 monthly clients that want this on a consistent basis. I actually only have like one spot left for that. So that's going really great. So like the monthly basis, and then I'll have the sprinkled in one-time content sessions. And then in the future, I want my husband to get the pilot license for the drone, and so that we can at least add that too. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I see for the future. I mean,
How fun.
originally I thought like I'll just do this for like 2 years and then I could like walk in any marketing agency and just get a great job, right? But I'm just like, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. And I think you'll figure that out. A lot of people,
Yeah.
when they go into that entrepreneurial journey, they realize, in fact, my one of my newest team members told me, she said, I thought I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and then I got into it and I realized I'm really an entrepreneur. I love to make
Mm,
other people look great. I love to be in the weeds of the systems and the processes and behind the scenes. And so figuring that out, and she's a very young person, so figuring that out was very valuable to her.
yeah.
So you have so many options, right? And
Yeah.
now that you can go pivot 180 degrees and go a different direction no matter what, because you're capable.
Yeah,
That's such a great
exactly.
feeling.
Yeah.
What does your husband do
So my
now?
husband works at OnQ. We actually met at OnQ. He's been there a very long
Oh, no way.
time.
I
Yeah.
love it. Oh my God,
OnQ
I
is
love
the
on
place
cue.
of love.
It is. Oh, how great.
Yeah, that's what
Oh
he
my gosh,
does.
how fun.
And he's also in the Army National Guard Reserve. So, yeah, those are the two things that he does. And he also really likes making content. He's like Gonzo the Fisherman on YouTube, and
Oh, how
he's
fun.
he's really good at it. So at first, whenever I first like had this idea, it was kind of like because he does it for a hobby, right? So at first, it was a little difficult for him to like understand like that I'm taking my hobby and making it
Yeah, you're
something.
turning my hobby into your job. What the heck?
Yes,
That's weird.
exactly.
You can
That's
make
what it
money doing that?
was. Yeah. Yeah. He's catching on though. Yeah. So it's going good. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about your family. You have a daughter,
Mhm.
Julian, and your parents are still here?
Yeah, Julian is 2 and Jeff is here, and my parents live in Shawnee. So they live really close to the mall. And and my mom watches my daughter a lot. I would
Yeah.
not be able to do what I do without her. So I'm super thankful for her every day.
Shout out
Yeah.
to mom. My mama did
Yeah,
the
shout
same
out.
thing when I was in nursing school with my baby. I mean,
Yeah.
all the time was with that mom, with that Grammy.
Yeah. So if my mom is sick, like yesterday, I've been networking with a mobile IV infusion company, right? And so whenever my mom told me yesterday that she woke up sick, I was like, I have got to have a babysitter. And so I got I got that IV infusion person to her within an hour, and she did an
Nice.
awesome job. She's feeling a lot better today.
It's great to know people, isn't it?
Yes.
And you
Yes.
become the guy that knows the guy.
Mhm.
So talk about networking a little bit. People
Yeah.
are scared of it, right? A lot of people don't understand it when they're new to
Yeah.
business. Tell us. I mean, we already know how meeting Kate has like helped
Yeah.
move you forward, but what was your first networking experience, and what did you take from that and learn?
Oh my goodness. My first one, I don't know if you've been to one of these, but the conversations over cocktails for Mix and Mingle. Have you been to
Okay,
one of
no, I
those?
have not.
Okay, that was not the one to start with.
Very
Because
busy, huh?
yeah, there was like 300 people in this room and I couldn't hear
Oh
myself
my
think
word.
because it's conversations over cocktails. So
Yeah,
it's just like not what I thought it was going to be. And sometimes networking events are like that. You think they're going to
right.
be one way and then you get there and you're like stimulation overload. Like, so
Shit. Ah,
it was, yeah, it wasn't even an experience of like, okay, now you have to speak. It was like, I can't speak. I don't know who to talk to. Like, that was one of the most intimidating experiences for me because if you like I'm really extroverted, so and I feel for the introverted people, I adopt them,
yeah,
extroverts
yeah,
adopt introverts.
definitely. Yeah.
And but as an introvert at a networking it, I think I would just say practice, 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 keep going, keep showing up. But as an extrovert, that's actually where I thrive because I have just found that it's like more about relationship building. I think that's the key is like take out the thing from your mind about like let me just see how many business cards I can just snatch up, or let me see how many
Yes.
clients I can get from this experience. Just go in trying to make friends and you will
Right.
have so much more success. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I call them card shovers. It's not, no, I'm definitely the card collector because I want to like be able to connect with someone later that I might not have
Yeah.
got to talk to very long. But
Yeah.
the ones that come up and hand you that here's my card, here's my card, here's my card, they're card shovers. Like nobody wants that. Like
Yeah.
stop it. I want it like a spray bottle.
Yeah,
Quit,
you
quit.
can tell whenever they're doing that, you can tell it's a checklist in their mind and they're
Yeah.
getting in their own way with that. So don't be a card shover.
Don't be a card shover. Nobody likes that. And ask a question. One thing I can't remember
Mhm.
who said this to me right early on. Most people don't go to those things prepared, right? They just
Mhm.
go like not knowing what to expect. But obviously you want to prepare your 60-second elevator pitch to be able to tell who you are, what you do, and how can people connect with you. But having a question already ready to go that I want to
Mhm.
ask Kaitlin, what are you most proud of in your life? What are you most proud of in your business? People
Mhm.
want to answer those kind of questions. Like we don't get to brag on ourselves very often. So when we ask someone else a question that we already have loaded, then knowing what your answer to that question is, because since the lazy person, and I hate to call our networking friends lazy, but they haven't prepared as much as we have most of the time. So when we
Right.
ask them that question, what are they going to do? They're going to turn around and ask you right back. And then you get to
Right.
answer your favorite question. So that's a
Yeah.
tip that someone gave me really early on. I was like, hey, this is great. It helps to
Yeah.
make that connection, like you said, with them personally versus just, what do you do? Well,
Mhm.
I do a lot of stuff, and a lot of people don't know how to wrap that up in a bow, but
Yeah, because if
asking
you
them
ask
personal questions.
Yeah. If you just ask, what do you do? It's just like, I do this. What do you do? And then then in that moment, here's a little bit of psychology. You're like trying to think about like, can we connect? Can I help them? Can I not? And so it could easily be like a no and go on to the next instead of like
Right.
actually connecting and just
Yeah.
asking what they're proud of. I'm
Mhm.
proud of a lot of things the last 7 weeks. Like, I think one of the most things I'm proud of is like having a client want me, like, she literally texted me Monday morning, "Can you fly out with me to Austin, Texas on Friday and get content, Capital One sponsoring it?" Like, within 7 weeks. Are you kidding me? Um,
Yeah.
so this
That's
has
what's
been
up.
insane. Yeah. It's been
That's so
insane.
great. That's so
Yeah.
great.
So
Oh my gosh.
asking those questions is definitely a big connector. I definitely agree. Like, what are you proud of? What's your biggest goal that's coming up? What are you currently betting on yourself to do right now? Like, that is what I see that I did in August, is that I bet on myself. And 8 months prior, I just felt like I gave up too much control on like the financial meter. I was just busy building all these like building blocks of the business when and so I pivoted to, okay, now it's up to you. And I actually feel most comfortable whenever it's like that, whenever it's up to me? I
Yeah.
don't know if you
Yeah.
relate to that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Delegation is very difficult for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I'm a control freak. I like to know what's going to happen, and know that it's going to happen because I'm the one responsible for it, which
Yeah.
is something I'm getting over, but
Hmm. Yeah.
that's for a
It's
little
hard.
perfectionism, maybe a little people pleaser. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
all working through that kind of stuff, I think,
Yeah.
from time to time.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So you're on the Queen's Lead podcast. Tell
Yeah.
us what a queen leader looks like to you.
A queen leader looks like to me, I think a big part of it is the relationship building and just the genuinely connecting with other people. I think is like a leadership skill, just being able to connect with people in a genuine way
Yeah.
and taking action, taking even messy action, like messy action. Yes.
Messy action. That's
Yeah.
it. Oh, I love that.
You gotta do it. Like, yeah, you just gotta do it if you want it to
Do it.
happen. And I felt like I was like looked over for like the last 8 months prior to that. And so whenever I announced like my idea, I was like, I only need a little bit of interest and I won't show up on Monday. And it was a huge interest. And I was like, okay, I've got to do this. Now I should probably create a website. That's why it's a Canva website. I'm like, I was, yeah, I was so used to being looked over. So I'm like, okay, now we got to do this.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
If you
we
don't
found it.
ask for something, you don't get it, do you?
Right. And you got to be specific. That's another thing that Kayla talks about is she's like, if you go to a restaurant and you say, and the waiter asks you, what would you like today? And you're like, well, I don't want anything too cold. And he's like, okay, but what do you want? Well, I don't want anything too sweet. You have to be specific with what you're wanting in life,
Yeah, 100%. And
For sure.
have you found that you're kind of coming back around to the dreams you had as a child?
Yeah.
What did Caitlin want to be when she grew up? What did 8-year-old Caitlin want to be?
I wanted to be I don't know if it was a job description, but I knew that I wanted to be connecting with people. I knew that I wanted to make a difference. Job description wise, I probably said a veterinarian, but I knew that I wanted to be seen. And growing up, like even in that's been something I've been working through this last year because you can say that as an 8-year-old, right? I want to be seen. I want people to know me. I want to have friends. But as you're 29, I'll be 29 in December, and I'm like actually taking up space because whenever you're 8, you don't go through all the things that you've gone through whenever you're like 29, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, now I got to actually take up space and be visible and allow that and not take everything so personally, which has been something I've been working through too. There has been so much changes in my life in the last like 10 months now. It's been a wild year.
Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah.
that. I think, connecting with those, my speaker coach says the labels and the lies that we've told
Mhm.
ourselves, like 8-year-old Caitlin wanted to be seen and connecting with people, and you weren't exactly sure what that meant, and seeking
Mhm.
the degree and ping-ponging out through all these places and all the experiences have finally landed you where you are today. And even that place might not look like it does in 10 years, but you're still
Right.
doing the things that you've always felt, that calling, that internal
Yeah.
just that feeling that, to
Yeah.
do for you. And it's really hard it's not hard as a kid to take up space, but at least for me growing up in the 80s, we were told, shh, sit down, shut up, be quiet, you're too much,
Mhm.
you're too loud, you're too all of these things. And so we spend decades trying to, at least I have spent decades trying to not be that. And now all of a sudden I'm like, wait, I'm allowed to take up space. I'm allowed to
Mhm.
be fully human and fully here. And that's okay. That's
Yeah.
a hard thing to rewire.
Yeah, especially in that same kind of thing is like one thing I remember is like if you talked back, it's disrespectful. You're not allowed to like have an opinion.
Yeah.
So these queens rising up and have an opinion, like that's amazing. I love to see it.
Oh yeah, we're taking over. I think we're finally getting our place in the room and our seat at the table, and
Yeah.
the more organizations and places and businesses I see with women at the helm, they're just better. they just have they just have amazing
Yeah.
cultures, at least
Yeah.
as a part of the leadership, because it's just not about just like diversity among men. It's about
Right.
diversity in all ways. And when we can
Yeah.
all come together and all have that different input from our different experiences in life, it just makes things better. So I'm
Yeah.
also very proud to see
More
women stepping
well-rounded.
up. That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
That's awesome. So we're almost at the end of our time. I can't believe it's gone so by so fast already. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so excited for
Yeah.
what you're doing. Um,
Thank you.
is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I would have asked you,
Mm,
or something that you're like, I don't want to get off this call without saying to the public?
Um, maybe um if anybody is like watching and inspired by your story but not really sure how how they could implement anything that you said or what they could do in their life to try and find their purpose, like what would you say to them type of thing, I guess, for
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is all about like practical advice. I know sometimes it's hard to actually like feel like it's practical because I know that in the headspace that I was in 2 or 3 months ago, it was just like a lot of things were just flying over my head because the brain does that to you. But um, yeah, I think I just want to speak to just encouraging the audience, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. You can absolutely um, find your purpose. And I think it's asking yourself questions,
Hmm.
you know, what is important to me? What kind of impact do I want to have? And then saying why,
Hmm.
and answering that question out loud, and why is that important? And why is that important? And why, and keep tunneling, like you said, go deep, not wide, right? Go deep
Oh,
into
yeah, that's
why
good.
is that important? And then you begin to see the things that you didn't think maybe were a job that actually are a job, or
Yeah.
your craft and your gift
Yeah.
can be utilized for the world, because we got one chance, man. We
Yeah.
have to let everybody know that it's possible for them too. But I think finding that center, that core, that purpose within you,
Hmm.
within you, within you, not within your kids, not within your mom, not within your partner, not within your job, not within anything else, but within you, because you are the person that will always be with you from now until forever. That's guaranteed. Nothing
Yeah.
else is. That was hard
No.
for me to swallow.
Yeah. And to just accept that you're worth that. You are worth
Yes.
it. Like, you
Yes.
matter. And so it's important. So it's one thing to like realize that, but also let it sink in that you are worth it. You can do it. You are capable. Like, all of those things is very
Yes.
important to know for yourself.
That's right. It's not for somebody else. Queen leadership
Yeah.
is for all of us, and we can move forward.
The Queen's Lead podcast is recorded worldwide and produced by the kick-ass media team at the Height Digital home base in Nicaragua. Until our next episode, stay real, Queens, and go lead. Remember to tap that follow and leave your review. For freebies and more real, inspiring content you love, go to amysingleton.net and connect with Amy on her socials at The Real Amy Singleton.
One more thing. This is the legal language, what my lawyer wrote and what I need to read to you. This podcast is presented for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am Amy Singleton, and I'm just your friend. Although I may speak to many on this show, I am not a psychotherapist, a business coach, a doctor, a CPA, a lawyer, or probably anyone who should be giving you professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for a relationship with your doctor, coach, or any other licensed professional. Got it? Good. Now go be a queen and follow me at The Real Amy Singleton.